Motivation feels powerful. It gives you excitement. It gives you energy. It makes you feel unstoppable. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you feel inspired. Some days you feel nothing. And if your success depends on how you feel, you will stop every time feelings change. That is why discipline beats motivation. Motivation makes you start. Discipline makes you continue. And in life, starting is easy. Continuing is what separates winners from everyone else. Anyone can work when they feel motivated. Anyone can chase goals when emotions are high. But what happens on the days when you feel tired? When progress feels slow? When nothing seems to be working? That is where discipline matters. Because discipline does not ask how you feel. It asks what must be done. And then it demands action. That is power. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is identity. Motivation says, I'll do it when I feel ready. Discipline says, I do it whether I feel ready or not. That difference changes everything. Most people wait for motivation before taking action, and that is why they remain inconsistent. They work hard for a few days, then stop. Start again, stop again. Their lives become cycles of enthusiasm and quitting. Not because they lack potential, but because they rely on emotion, and emotion is unstable. Discipline is different. Discipline creates structure. It creates repetition. It turns action into habit, and habits build destiny. Success is rarely one big decision. It is thousands of disciplined choices repeated over time. Wake up early. Do the work. Keep the promise. Repeat. That is how great lives are built. Not through bursts of motivation, but through consistency. Discipline keeps moving when motivation disappears, and motivation always disappears. Every goal becomes hard at some point. Every dream reaches a phase where excitement fades. This is where most people quit, because they were driven by feelings, not commitment. But disciplined people keep going, even when it is boring, even when it hurts, even when results are invisible. Because discipline understands something motivation does not. Progress is often silent. Results come later. But effort must happen now. Discipline is doing the hard thing before you feel ready. It is acting despite resistance. It is showing up when no one is watching. That is why it wins. Motivation can get you to the gym once. Discipline gets you there for years. Motivation can make you start a business. Discipline keeps you building when things get difficult. Motivation can inspire ambition. Discipline turns ambition into reality. Without discipline, dreams stay dreams. There is another reason discipline is stronger. It creates self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you trust yourself more. And self-trust creates confidence. Confidence is not built by thinking positive. It is built by keeping commitments. Discipline does that. Motivation rarely does. Motivation feels good. Discipline makes you better. And those are not the same. People often think discipline means punishment, but discipline is freedom. It frees you from laziness, from excuses, from inconsistency, from becoming controlled by mood. The undisciplined person does what feels easy. The disciplined person does what creates growth. Only one evolves. The truth is, most people overvalue intensity and undervalue consistency. They want dramatic change, fast results, huge breakthroughs. But real transformation often looks ordinary. Small actions repeated daily. That is discipline, and it compounds. One disciplined day changes little. 1,000 disciplined days change everything. This is how ordinary people become extraordinary. Not through talent, not through luck, through discipline. Talent without discipline gets wasted. Potential without discipline stays unrealized. Dreams without discipline become regret. Discipline turns possibility into reality. And that is rare. Because most people chase what feels exciting. Few commit to what is necessary. That is why disciplined people rise. They keep going after motivation dies. And motivation always dies. Some days you will feel unstoppable. Other days you will doubt everything. Discipline carries you through both. It does not care whether the day feels good. It only cares whether the work gets done. That is why discipline creates results. And results create confidence. And confidence creates momentum. It all begins there. People admire success, but often what they admire is hidden discipline. The routines, the sacrifices, the repetition, the unseen effort. Success is usually disciplined behavior made visible. Nothing glamorous, just repeated execution, again and again. There is no shortcut around that. The life you want will demand discipline. The mindset you want, the freedom you want, all require consistency. Not occasional motivation, consistency. That is why discipline is more powerful than inspiration. Inspiration can light a fire. Discipline keeps it burning. And burning matters more. Because life is not won through occasional effort. It is won through sustained effort. That is discipline. Some people wait until they feel motivated. Disciplined people act first. And action often creates motivation afterward. That is another secret. You do not always need motivation before action. Sometimes action creates motivation. Move first. Feeling follows. Waiting often kills progress. Doing creates momentum, and momentum changes identity. Eventually, discipline stops feeling forced. It becomes who you are. You no longer chase discipline, you become disciplined. That is a different level. At that point, success stops feeling accidental because you built systems that make progress inevitable, and systems beat emotion every time. That is why discipline beats motivation. Not because motivation has no value, but because motivation is temporary. Discipline endures. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. One starts movement, the other sustains it. And sustained effort changes lives. So stop asking, how do I stay motivated? Ask instead, how do I become disciplined? That question changes everything. Because motivation may inspire you today, but discipline can transform your future. When you feel tired, choose discipline. When you feel doubt, choose discipline. When you feel resistance, choose discipline. Especially then. Because the days you do not feel like showing up are often the days that shape you most. Anyone can act when it is easy. Character is built when it is hard. Discipline is character in action. And character creates destiny. Years from now, your life will likely be shaped less by moments of inspiration and more by habits you repeated. That is discipline. Quiet, unseen, powerful, and unstoppable. Motivation can make you feel ready. Discipline makes you become ready. One excites the mind, the other transforms the life. And in the end,